The revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be televised because the real revolution is in our minds. So, yeah, great song. I love that song. I like the flute. Anyway, yes, basically the media, the mass media, the mainstream media will not show any of the real revolution, because the real revolution is the evolution of consciousness, and that means moving away from the programming, their programming, because that's what programs are. They're programming our minds, and people need to obviously escape that programming, wake up from that programming, just like in the Matrix, yes. And yeah, because it's all based on fear. They want to keep us in fear. So when you watch the news, you know, like I said before, it's very dramatic. It's all like, you know, there's a deadly virus coming. Look at the map of where it's been, and look at the map of where it's probably going to end up, and look at this storm coming. We've named all the bad weather now. We're naming all the storms. You know, it's always dramatic. It's always so fear-based, isn't it? It's very, very rare that there will be any good news. And in fact, Russell Howard used to have a program called Good News, Russell Howard's Good News, and I loved that, and it was brilliant, and it was actually really popular, but they axed it, the BBC axed it. Suspicious. Maybe it was spreading too much positivity, too much good news. So yeah, I think that the current power structure is actually very scared of positivity and the real revolution, which is the love revolution, the, you know, good energy, and helping each other and thinking outside of the box, thinking outside of the box, getting out of our boxes, our homes, and getting out into the real world, you know, the real world, into, you know, nature, and to really connect with each other, properly connect with each other, you know, not through computers and TV sets and all of that, although obviously I'm saying this now, through basically a type of TV, but, you know, that's just the way it has to be at the moment. But I'd rather not. I'd rather be connecting with people, you know, in real life. So yeah, we need to move away from the manipulation and the programming, because basically a lot of our news is fake news, which is funny how they keep talking about fake news, isn't it? But even, you know, the mainstream media has been very guilty of fake news over the years, haven't they? Newspapers, I mean, like Hillsborough, you know, some of the stuff they say all sorts of things, and they get away with it because apparently they just have to do a tiny little retraction in like the next week's paper, and then that's okay, you know. So they can have like a massive headline which is just basically a complete lie, and then as long as they do a little tiny retraction, that's fine. So isn't that fake news? Isn't that manipulation? Of course it is. And it's been going on for, well, you know, a long time, maybe since the media really started, but it's certainly got a lot worse. I think it's really over the years become a lot worse. I think a survey was done last year about, you know, how reliable people think that kind of the UK media is, and it was only about, you know, quite low really, people that thought it was reliable. I think the majority was over 50% of people didn't really have faith in, you know, the media anymore. So people are losing their faith in the media, and I think that's a good thing, really, because that shows people, you know, they're waking up to the manipulation and the lies and the fake news, and maybe that's why people are turning to other sources like the internet and stuff. And I think if you want to know the truth, you have to look at all sources, you know. Like in a courtroom, you know, if you were trying to find the truth of the matter, you wouldn't just take one person's word for it, you know, you would look at all the evidence, you know. So if you actually want to know what's going on in the world, you need to look at all the different sources of the news. whether that's the official news or the unofficial news. If you want to really understand what's going on, you have to look at everything, don't you? And don't necessarily believe the mainstream over the smaller people, because you have to think the smaller people, they haven't really got any reason to lie, have they? Whereas the mainstream media, that definitely has a lot to lose, because they're part of the current power structure, they're part of the monopoly of companies and people that own all of these things. The media is owned by the same people that owns a lot of the big corporations and the big banks. So actually they are the ones with a lot to lose, aren't they? So I think people need to move away from the TV and into true communication with each other and with their higher selves, and looking at the bigger picture and connecting all the dots, and don't ever get completely brainwashed by any kind of one program. And so the real revolution will really be, I think, when people turn off their TV.